Literature in the 19th century. This time period is commonly known as the Romantic Era. The biggest event during this time was the Industrial Revolution, which moved the world from a rural life to city life and more scientific thinking. People of this time revolted against convention, authority, and the status quo, and the people searched for freedom in all aspects of their lives and self-expression. Some examples of literary work from this time are Jane Eyre, Frankenstein, and Great Expectations. The first example we will look at is Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is a novel written by Charlotte Bronte, who lived from 1816 to 1855. She actually wrote this story under the pen name Currer Bell because of women's low status at the time, and she did this in 1847 in London. To briefly summarize this novel, it starts out with a young orphan girl named Jane Eyre, who goes through many hard times and many challenges, but in the end, she overcomes all of these setbacks, falls in love, and is happily married. The themes in Jane Eyre are love versus autonomy, religion, class, and gender. This novel relates to the society of the time in these ways. Most people were in the working class, just like Jane, who has to face those in the higher classes. And Jane's low status was like most women of the time. And, just like the people of this time, Jane practices religion. Also, people of this time wanted to express themselves, just as Jane wants to be loved. The next example will be Frankenstein. This novel was written by Mary Shelley, who lived from 1797 to 1851. She wrote her nightmare-inspired novel in 1816 in Geneva, Switzerland, which is where the story takes place. To quickly summarize, Victor Frankenstein is a young boy who becomes fascinated with science and decides to create life, which turns out to be a huge mistake, because his creation turns out to be a monster, who causes Victor many tragic problems, but Victor vows to kill the monster in the end. The themes in this story are dangerous knowledge, ambition, sublime nature, secrecy, text, gender, and crime, guilt, and innocence. This novel relates to the society of the time because the Industrial Revolution was occurring, which made people have a more scientific thought process like Victor. The times were changing and higher education was becoming more common. This is shown through Victor going to college. And because men were much more respected than women during this time, and ironically, all of the women in this story die. The final example is Great Expectations. This novel was written by Charles Dickens, who lived from 1812 to 1870. He wrote it in 1860 in England. To briefly summarize this lengthy novel, the main character is a young orphan named Pip, who wants to become a gentleman, so he can marry a pretty girl named Estella. Then, unexpectedly, Pip receives a fortune. He is told by his secret benefactor to start school to become a gentleman. Pip then goes through hard times during his youth. Eventually, he discovers who his benefactor is and tries to help him out in return. In the end, Pip and Estella are together. The themes in this novel are ambition, self-improvement, social class, and crime, guilt, and innocence. The novel relates to the society of the time because the Industrial Revolution was occurring, so people were moving to the city and becoming more educated, which is exactly what Pip does. And because people were working class during this time and were looking to better themselves, just like Pip tries to do. This Venn diagram shows how the themes of the three novels are similar and different, which in turn reflects the relation of the stories to the society of the time.